Hello there, this is pk and welcome to the 29th Roblox Lua scripting tutorial. Now, first we're going to start with a scripting showcase. This model comes in from the user USA Happy, and we're going to have a look at what the model is now. Test play solo. Let the Hunger Games begin. This is what the message says. It is not... what? With, okay, so I have the two reset. Oh no, they were from another one. I should probably remove some of these objects. I have no idea what has happened. Well, this is interesting. I'm going to look at the script and then test it. It's a spawn location. It's got fire in it. This one has a countdown. Ah, it creates a message. Did the message there? No, he has given it a parent. I didn't see the message, but presumably it was there. And this one says, "Well, the Hunger Games begin." Right, if it's touched, and then it creates an explosion where it is. Now, that didn't work. We're going to see why. Maybe it did work. I'm not sure. Well, let's make sure it's touching the ground, and then anchor it. It's touching the ground. And it is already anchored. Well, let's just test this one more time, then. Oops, no, wrong button. Die. Block access. Windows. What part is it saying to explode or something? This rain is also extremely annoying. There is no hint. This is a stupid... Works every time. Now, where is this message that it is creating? Is the script disabled or something? No, it's not. Right, this is confusing. Either the script is not running, what's it's called. Fix. Nope, none of these scripts are breaking here. Print 0 to 10 here. It should be creating a hint in the workspace. Now let's have a look, and the hint is not. There's no hint anywhere. So this is the script has now disappeared. Right. Mine script text index field parent. Right, we're going to have to look one last time at this script. Now, which part is this exactly? It only happens when this bottom bit's touched. Right. So when a bit near it's touched. What's open? Ah, it's a server. I thought I said a block access to that. It didn't actually. Windows Firewall, why are you so bad? Right. Tell what we're going to do here. We're going to temporarily delete the place. That's better. Well, delete those bits on the place. And let's just delete everything. Remember not to save it. Except the base plate. Don't dig into the base plate. Okay. Imagine there was something else missing because the place wasn't working. Well, this is a spawn location. This HG spawn. This Hunger Games it stands for. Okay. Does create the message, but the message disappears instantly. Presumably because we forgot to put a weight in the loop. Now there's a landmine next to me, wasn't there? Hunger Game landmines loaded. Didn't notice that before. Now as we walk here, is there going to be an explosion? No, there is not. And I don't know why there's no explosion there. Maybe it's because it's waiting for something. Let's have a look at the script again. So first of all, we're going to look at the countdown script. Now, he has put a weight in there. For I equals 60, 0, minus 1, do. Text equals I. I don't know why it hasn't... Oh, it's because he's removing it every single time. Right, this is a problem. He's removing the hint every single time, which means that... And he's never recreating it. If we remove this, and then it would actually work. So if I just do that, and cut, and then paste, it's working now. It shows the time. Now if we look on here, print Hunger Games loaded. Why is he printed loaded before it's even loaded? That's kind of stupid. That doesn't mean it's loaded once the script started running. You press loaded once it's actually loaded, right? And now there presumably is some kind of timer because now this is broken and the script and everything has disappeared. So there is some kind of timer in this. So if dbounce is 0, then dbounce equals 1. Then it creates an explosion in the part whenever it's touched. But that didn't seem to be working, did it? That is because he only sets up the event after he's waited 55 seconds. Now obviously there's a problem. Now there's two problems with this. One is that he wants to... Presumably he wants it so that you can only walk off this spawn once the Hunger Games has begun, when it's on the 0. The trouble is, first of all, the scripts aren't going to be synced as well, so this by the time this gets to 0, this might still be off, but we're going to ignore that. But the touched event isn't set up until it. So what's happening is he's setting up the touched event after it's been removed, and then it's breaking. So all we're going to do now is position a touch event correctly, fix this bit by removing the thing that says it remove the hint afterwards. We're actually going to use the destroy function, which is one you should use instead. Hopefully I haven't saved it. Yes, that was my data persistence tutorial, because today we're going to be learning the data persistence. Well, I say learning. I'm going to be attempting to teach. Now, 53, 52, 51, 50, when it's down to 0, this should disappear, but for now, when you walk off, I should explode. But I'm not exploding still. Why am I not exploding? I want to explode. Give me explosions. Now, why isn't this exploding? We look at the mine. Which is the mine? Oh, that's the it doesn't appear to be extremely effective, if I say so myself, at killing me. So overall, it's a good idea for a script. It'll be quite cool if it worked, but overall it's broken. You're still going to get 200 Robux, so well done to you. We're so happy. It is not badly scripted. You just had some stupid mistakes like putting the weight before that and making sure the explosion was in the right place that actually kills you and such like that. So now we're going to be moving on to the scripting tutorial. What is the place called? Cool table place. No, it wasn't called Table Place. It was called Minigames, isn't it? I'm not going to close this. Yes, I am. I'm going to close this one before I accidentally save it. And this one. Although I don't care about saving that one. And now, this is the minigames. Now, we haven't received any minigames, so you should be sending them all in, because the minigames are things that make the minigames work. Now, as I explained previously, which is why I have the data persistence tutorial that I actually wrote up, because I'd forgotten how to use it, and I just reread my own tutorial for about a minute, and now I can remember. So, what data persistence is? Data persistence is a Roblox added feature which allows stuff to be saved on a per user, per player basis. People write this as PUPP, and what this means is that you can save things to a player on this, and it will stay with the player if they rejoin the play. So you can save something. You save something onto pick a 10 called hi. Then when he rejoins the play, so you'll be able to load hi that's saved under his name. Now it's not quite as simple as that, but that's sort of the basic idea of it, and it's per user per place. So you can save it. Oh, shut up! This stupid thing. There we go. You can save it onto individual players. Onto individual places. So if one person joins one place, you save it onto him, and he joins another place, that won't work, and you can't access things if it's been saved on one player, another player joins. So basically, you don't save stuff to the place, you save it to the player. Now, supposedly they're going to be adding new features, because they've realised that you can't really make good RPGs or really good anything except for stat saving like this, unless they improve the data persistence, maybe to have some extra functionality, or maybe change it to per place, or even per user, per creator, or just something. But for now, this is what we've got. So, to use this, we're also going to have to learn a function called pcall, and I'll explain this while we're making the data persistence. So first, data persistence works in... Oh, do I need to zoom in? No, I'm not going to zoom in because I have Camtasia. And this will zoom in automatically for me. And if it doesn't, I'll zoom it in for Camtasia. Let's zoom out. It's much easier to read. What? Is the font changed? No, I'm just being stupid. Okay. When we go into the player added section, what happens with data persistence is a player joins the game. It then tries to load the data. Well, it tries to it tries to make the data that's been set ready. Now, if the data that's been set is ready, and then a value in the player called data ready, surprisingly, will be made true. This is a Boolean value. It's a property in the player. So you need to wait before loading the data until data ready is true. If data ready inside the player is false, it means the data is not ready to be accessed, and it will produce an error or some sort of... I'm not sure actually what it produces. I think it produces an error if you try and access the data when data is not ready. So the first thing you're going to have to do is wait for data ready. And now, Roblox has actually provided a handy function. It's called this: wait for data ready. That's helpful. So what are we going to do? We need to load the data for the player. First of all, what data are we going to load for the player? The data that we want to load for the player is actually the... We want to load the money for the player. That's what we're going to load to start with. So if you leave the place with 100 money, then you rejoin the place, you're going to keep 100 money. And so then you won't lose everything if you disconnect or want to stop playing from now, and then you'll regain the money that you earned. So what we're going to do now is attempt to load the money. Now obviously we haven't saved the money yet, but we're going to load the money assuming that we've already saved it. Now, how does data persistence work from saving and loading? Now what actually happens is it works on a key value pairs. Well, that doesn't mean a lot probably to you, but to some people it might, and it works basically the same way as a table. So a key value means you have a key and you set it to the value. Like this. So, if you're having a table, this is how it works. Inside a table, you set a key to a value. So then, if the key was high and it was equal to 1, then if I pressed print table high, it would print 1 because the key is high, the value is 1. That is exactly the same as how data persistence works. If we set a key to something, and then we can load that back up. And so, what we will have saved, assume while we're doing this, is that we've saved under player the key for the money as money. But we might want to change that. So just in case, we're going to just local money key equals money. So this is the key we're going to be saving all the money under. Now, this probably still doesn't make a lot of sense to you, and I don't blame you for this. So what we're actually going to do is try and load the money. Now, to do this, we're going to have to use a function called pcall. And now, instead of typing it all out, I'm going to actually I will type it all out. First of all, I need to take a break though, for a toilet. Okay, I'm back. So what were we doing? We were doing pcall. And pcall is a function which runs another function, but basically doesn't crash if the function has an error in it. And what it does instead is returns true if the function has run without an error, but returns false if the function that it's trying to run has an error. But also, if it returns false, it returns something else. Yes, you can return two things. I haven't really explained this in much detail, but I'll just cover it briefly now. If I wanted to return two things, let's just go into the bit at the top. Function I return there we go. So returning two values is basically like this. You return 1 and it will be this one, and you return 2 and it will be this one. That's basically how it works. So again, we can just run this function and it will return two values, and if we just did this, the only thing that we'd get something would be 1. But if we did this, and then this would be 2. So that's how multiple returnings in Lua works. So pcall returns more than one thing. Pcall returns the success of the function, which is what I explained, whether the function runs already. So if the function has run perfectly fine and hasn't crashed in the middle of it, and then pcall will return true and nothing else. However, if the function has crashed while running it, and then success, well, the first thing that it returned will be false, the second thing that it will return will be the error that the function actually produced. Now, there are certain exceptions. Within this pcall function, you cannot use any function that yields the thread. Now, I haven't gone into any sort of details like that. That's complicated for these tutorials. Basically, you can't use wait. Don't use wait inside pcalls because it will crash. So, what I'm going to do now is check whether I can use this load function. Now, obviously, you wouldn't normally need to use pcall for anything Roblox-sided, but for this is one exception. The reason we need to use pcall for this is because this is the service for Roblox is not the same as the data persistence service for Roblox, which means that whenever we use a function concerning data persistence, if the data persistence servers aren't working, the function that we're going to call will crash. We don't want it to crash the entire script just because the data persistence servers will be down. We just want it not to load the data. And so instead what we're going to have is just, as I said, put it in a pcall, and so if it does crash, we'll know it crashed and the script will continue without it. So to do this, we're going to use the pcall function on. So, first of all, remember it returns two things: whether it's successful and what the error is. I'll make it more descriptive. The success and error equals. And now the function is called pcall, and the argument that it takes is the function that you need to run it with. Now, in pcall, it only accepts a function. You can't just type some random. You can't just type anything. You can't just go a equals 1. You can't just run a script in there. It has to be a function. Now, we could just create a separate function to do it, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to use what we did for exactly the same way as we did here, and just create an anonymous function within this argument. So, we're just going to create a function. As we can do it on the new line, doesn't matter what we do. This is just going to be our function. So this function is going to attempt to load the data from this player. So what this does, how do we do this? Well, the money is obviously a number, and so to load numbers from a player colon load number. And then inside these brackets, because we can't just go player load number. Hey, we're going to load a number from the player. What number is it? We have no idea. So, as I said before, it's key value pairs. So we would have saved something to the key of money key, which is money. And so then we can load it from money key. Obviously, and then if we loaded a number which was something completely different, we would only get something from this if someone had already saved something to the key of high. As we haven't saved anything to the key of high, well, we haven't technically saved anything to money key either, but we will do. If we haven't saved anything for the key of high, and then it will just return Actually, I can't remember what they return. They don't return nil, all of them. Hang on, let me just check that. I'll show it to you. This is why I had this thing up. Load number. Returns a number value that, if the key doesn't exist, it returns 0, not nil. Yes. So, if the number value doesn't exist, it returns... So, well, the key doesn't exist even. If the key, money key, doesn't exist, if we haven't saved anything to this money key, or we haven't saved anything to high, and then it will return 0. Now this is good for our loading numbers, because say we don't have to check whether it's nil. We can just immediately... So rather than before, we might have to... Without this, we might have to go, well, A equals money equals player, and then we can set the amount of money the player has if it's not nil, or we can just set it to it without having to check whether it's nil or not. So that wasn't very well explained. So basically, if this returned nil when it hadn't saved anything, if the player's first time joined the place, then we couldn't just go... we couldn't just go points dot value, because points, remember, is the money, the integer value that we use. Points dot value equals money. We couldn't just do that because money may have been nil. So then we'd have needed, because if we hadn't have saved anything to money key, it may have been nil. But if we checked if money is nil, then, well, this is the way I prefer to do it. Sorry, this is just OCD. If not money, then money equals 0. But as it does, Roblox does that for us, and then we could do this. So money is always either set to 0 or a number. So if a player joins the game for the first time and he's never had anything saved, money is going to be 0, so we can just set it to money. Well, obviously we don't want money to be a global. Well, I say global, to be a variable that is accessed through the entire script. Because then if another function we set money, we don't want it to be the same money as here. We probably won't do anyway. So what we're going to do is just make sure this money is not just if we just create a local money here, and then money will only be able to access inside this pcall. So what instead we're going to do is create local money here. We don't have to put anything there, but I prefer just going equals nil, just to make it look nicer. And so now money is local to this function. Actually, we don't want it to equal nil, remember, because then if this function crashes, by that I mean if success returns false, if the pcall function crashes and then it just returns an error, because then the script won't actually crash, and then money will still be nil, won't it? So we want money to equal 0, because otherwise we'd be setting this to nil. We don't want that to be nil. So this is basically all there is to it. And we're going to remember, if load number crashes, and then there will be error, will be the error that the function has returned. I haven't put anything that we shouldn't do in there, so I'll just run you through the other data persistence functions there are now. There's 3 main ones basically that you need to know about: load number, load string with the key inside it, and load instance. And now, load instance is loading the... It is, as it says, an instance, and an instance is anything that exists. Basically, it's any object in Roblox. This is an instance. This is an instance. This is an instance. Basically, you can save anything to this as an instance, any object, not a value, not a script value. So not just a piece of text or a number. That's string or number, as like these two. Load instance is a Roblox object. We're not going to use that right now. Load string is a string, so a piece of text. Like this is a string. That's a string, and that's what it will save. And there's appropriate function save string, which we're going to save string, and save number, and save instance, which we're going to go into now. So this is basically all we need to do at the moment. So what this is going to do, it's going to run in, It's going to create the leaderboard as normal in case data ready, for some reason the servers are down and data ready never turns true. So we're going to put this after the leaderboard is created, so that all the script will still run as normal, even if data ready is always false. But what instead we're going to do, after this leaderboard is created, we're then going to use the pcall to try and load a number from the player's data persistence table, and if there is one, well, not just if there is one, then it'll return the amount that is saved. So if he left with 100 money, he'll get 100 money. If there isn't one, it'll just be 0, and we're going to set it to whatever it is. So if he hasn't had anything saved, it'll be 0. If he has, it'll be whatever he left off with last time. And if load number doesn't work for whatever reason, if the servers are down, or data persistence is for some reason broken, and then money will still be 0 from here, and this will just error. So we could then print error, but we're not going to. So now what do we need to do? We need to make it so that it saves. Now there's several ways we can save. What we're going to do instead, we want it to obviously save whenever the player leaves, but also we should probably have a button to make sure the player can save in case he disconnects or some weird event or some weird bug, which means Roblox event doesn't detect that he saved. But we're not going to do that in this tutorial. That will be some of the polishing off we'll do later. For now, we're just going to make it save the amount of money when he's leaving. And so, have we already got a player remove function in here? No. Well, there's 2 events that we can use. So, as you can see the events here, there's an event player added, there's also an event player removed, and there's also an event player removing. Now, what's the difference between these 2 events? This event fires once the player has been removed, this event fires once the player is in the process of being removed. And now, we only want to use player removing if we want to do something to the player. So for example, we want to make something save to the player once he's left the place. Obviously, if the player has left the place, the player does not exist inside this place, so we won't be able to save to him, will we? So what we actually need to do is use the function which detects when he's leaving. So when he's leaving, we can just save to him then, and then he will exist, so we can actually save to him, if that makes any sense. So we're going to use this player removing function, because the player will still exist then. So game, press insert, game.players player removing. We're just going to connect these events player removing. We're going to create another function up here. Function player removing player. And so what this does, as it says, is just save the player. Well, what was I talking about? I just had a mind blank then. What this does is, I've already explained. So, now what we all need to do is just save the number. And obviously we're going to use a pcall function again, because the saving functions can break. So we're going to go local success. The reason we could just do pcall function, and then it would work fine. We don't have to return anything, for example, because, you know, wait returns something. We don't have to say something equals something, just the values will be lost forever. If we deleted this, the function would still work fine. It just we just wouldn't know whether it had run or not, other than whether money was set to 0, and it could also be, what if someone's left without any money, then it would be 0 then. So we wouldn't be able to check whether the function had run or not. If we wanted to, we don't often want to check, but there might be a reason that we would want to, so instead we are going to check success and error, make sure it's local, and also we may want to, in the future, say for debugging, so we're going to do exactly the same thing here, local success error equals pcall function money equals player. Well, actually, we're not going to do that, because this doesn't return anything. We just want it to save the amount of money that he already has. How much money does he already have? This is in the player's leader stats, and that's called leader stats. So, There could be a situation in where he joins the place and leaves the place before. Say if the server's lagging, if he joins the place and leaves the place before this is actually created, before any of this stuff is created, seeing as this player removing, it's not after it's fully removed. Well, even that wouldn't make a difference. He could be leaving the place before the leader stats is created. So we're going to first of all just check whether leader stats has been created. So if local leader stats, I'm going to put LD equals player find first child leader stats, and if that exists, if it's not nil or false, then we're going to save the amount of money that he has to the database. So we're going to go. Well, of course, it could be. I'm not going to do any more checks on this. Don't worry. So now going to use the save number function under the same key, so then we can access it with the key. So we're going to money key. So then we save something to money key, we can load something to money key. So then we can save something to some other key, and we can load something to some other key, and it will still work. So player : save number money key. But also we need to tell it the value to save it to. There are two arguments in save number, and the value is inside the leader stats. What's its name? It's money value. This is the value. And this, and this, and then end this. Now, this is our data persistent success. So what will happen here? Someone joins the place, it tries to load the data from the pcall function. Well, not from the pcall function. Inside the pcall function, so don't break if you if the function inside it breaks. If it doesn't, it's going to load the amount. If it does, it's just going to stick with 0 anyway. Then it loads the amount of money that he had last time, because whenever he leaves a place, it saves the amount of money that he has. So this is all the scripting tutorial we're going to do for today. In the next tutorial, we're going to actually start making some tools, such as guns, weapons. I'm going to teach you how to do that, I was almost going to do it for this tutorial, but I wasn't certain on it. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you stuck with me. It's been a very long tutorial. Let's check the time on it. 32 minutes, yet that's been a very long tutorial. Hopefully I've explained it thoroughly enough. I hope I have anyway. That's what I said the first time. Never mind. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to rate the video and subscribe if you haven't already. There's also, remember, the contests, which is going to continue on for a few more tutorials, is to send me a minigame. That will be in the description as well. Remember, the minigames are in the same format as this. You'll get 750 Robux or 1,000, depending on how much you've differed from the original one. Oh, I did zoom in on the other script. I didn't even notice this. So, this is the format of the mini-games that we need to submit. You can also submit something to Script for 200 Robux, and remember there was... No, I said that in the last video, never mind. So, thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe, goodbye.